What follows is a conversation I had with somebody who called himself King. It was generally about the contingency argument, but some other stuff did not go as conversations like that normally go, in my experience. He told me some new things, some stuff I didn't hear before. I found it a bit interesting. It's a little bit that what I tend to do for these conversations. I mean, I have a lot of conversations. I watch a number of things online, but I'm going to admit I'm not very well read. I don't investigate a lot of stuff, which I think is a good and a bad thing. I mean, I do that on purpose because I like kind of coming fresh to these kind of discussions as much as I can, think about things on my own. And King actually told me some things that, I don't know, enlightened me in a few bits. But at the same time, I do feel a little bit deficient. Like, I should be reading up more, but I don't want to fall into a trap where I am just kind of saying the same thing that all other atheists or other philosophers say. It's a good and a bad thing. I'm not quite sure where I land on it yet. But the good part of it is I get to have conversations like this with people about these topics that go around quite a lot, but at least say new things to me that I haven't heard before. And just a little bit, I'll just say at the beginning, I am a little wary of him because I had just previously had 2 kids come in and just, curse and stuff and say things about my mom and blah, 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 blah. It's like, generally I don't let that stuff bother me, but, maybe I was a little sensitive at the time. So, but I get over it, and it's actually a good conversation. Transition!
I'm so sorry. Like 2 people, yeah, that's something.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty bad.
So, what would you
I'm
like to
not
talk
gonna do the
about
same
then?
thing, though.
Okay.
Like when we're talking about deduction, right? Deduction logically, if the axioms logically follow, right, it has 100% certainty. You've heard that. I think Aristotle said. I think Plato, maybe Aristotle, Plato, but all humans are mortal. Aristotle is mortal, therefore Aristotle must be mortal. This is deduction. It 100% follows.
I didn't... Wait. You went kind of quickly. I didn't get it. Could you say it again?
When we're talking about logic, right? There's 2 ways to really prove to anything. There's deduction and there's induction. So deduction gives 100% certainty. For example, Aristotle, he said, all humans are mortal. We know that, right? That's just a fact, right? But that axiom can be debated, but all humans are mortal. Aristotle is immortal, therefore Aristotle must be immortal. Aristotle is a human, therefore Aristotle must be mortal.
Sure.
Do you get my point?
Yes.
So this is deduction. But induction would be something that's likely. So every day I see the sun rise, right? So tomorrow, the sun would rise, something along those lines. But maybe there's some condition which, it's just induction. It doesn't
Right.
follow in all cases.
Sure.
So have you heard of the contingency argument? Do you have an argument against that, or should I go over it?
Yeah, like every cause has a cause, right? Everything that has a cause. So, yeah, okay, sure. But
Yeah, so
it doesn't seem to prove the existence of God, though.
yeah, so for the first premise, everything that exists has an explanation for existence, either in necessity of its own nature or an external cause. This is the PSR, right? The principle of sufficient reason. But
It feels like you're packing more into it than I usually see.
Yeah, but I don't have to necessarily follow that. But I do have 2 key terms: contingent being, which means a being that depends on something else for its existence and could fail to exist in another world, which is just a reference to modal logic. Necessary being, a being that must exist and must not depend on anything else and cannot fail to possibly.
That's going very quickly for me. I mean, I don't know that I'm the right person. I don't know that I'm the right person to have this conversation with. But
Oh, my bad.
No, I just mean that it's because I'm not going to get I have difficulty with the minutia. But the thing is, I would just go with the problem is that just all that's going to do, as far as I can tell, is say that there must have been something initially existent that didn't have a cause.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Then okay, let's accept that's true. How does that get you?
What is this thing?
How does that get you to God? I don't know what that thing is.
But you would have to like logically like accept this. Like for example, a lot of atheists when we talk about the Big Bang, there has to be a sort of cause for that Big Bang, right?
Yeah, but
Like it just can't it
but the
can't
thing
be ex
is,
nihilo,
there's
right?
nothing in that that necessitates a conscious, super powerful consciousness with intent. All that says is that there was some initial thing, and we don't know what that is. And like, I'll agree with you enough. I mean, there's some arguments that things could be either infinite or cyclical. I don't understand that enough to be able to. I don't think it's understandable by humans really. So fine, but still, if you just want to go, there was some initial thing that was not caused by anything else.
Yeah, there's objective.
Fine. It just doesn't say that it has to be like a supernatural conscious entity that is that initial cause.
Yeah, but like I was actually speaking to actually a fellow theist on this, right, regarding this. He told me that I can only deductively prove the existence of God. Things like will, consciousness, knowledge, all of those other like attributes that we ascribe to God, they have to be proven even by like either like since like I'm a Christian, right? We would have to prove that through either revelation or through stuff like inductive reasoning. So like if this is the first cause, right, then it had created everything, right, which means it has all total power. Since that's the totality, it's created everything, which means it must have all power by necessity. So this is one attribute of God. And if it's created everything, it must have also have all knowledge. Since it has created everything, it must have knowledge
Well,
of all these things.
here's this. How about maybe not all power? How about maybe the power to create the universe, but not any power after that? Or like maybe whatever, like either thinking God entity or some natural process that we don't understand had the power to create the universe. That doesn't necessarily make them all powerful because they might be powerless
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's where I would refer to something called secondary causation, right? Secondary causation is something that Thomas Aquinas, he believed, right? So that although God is the ultimate primary cause of everything, he works through created causes, secondary causes, which bring about events. So like creatures, nature,
Thomas
free will.
Aquinas thought that some people were meant to be slaves. I don't know if I really care necessarily about what Thomas Aquinas said about things.
Yeah, Thomas Aquinas, he believed a lot of things, right?
Yeah, it's hard to appeal to him as a like a source that I'm really going to listen to. But yeah,
Yeah, but when we're talking about, he has some good arguments. Like I remember, like referring to the privation of good. Like, does evil have ontology? He wrote so much things about like this has value, right? But maybe his other things they don't have much value. Like even like non-Christian philosophers, they say that Thomas Aquinas has some value. But maybe
yeah. No, you know what?
do you get my point though?
To be fair, I was taking a cheap shot. Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's just I very much have
Yeah,
this.
it's
I
okay.
very much have the slavery topic in my mind. That's so that just popped out. It was unfair of me to bring it up. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's totally fine. Like I don't even hold to him. I'm like a neo-Christian
Yeah,
theist. It's
yeah,
like
I shouldn't have done it. It was a cheap shot, as I say.
No, but secondary causation, like although God created the first primary cause, like like the idea is that he works through created causes, like creatures, for example, like he creates, for example, free will, right? Human beings, although all our actions, according to like Christian theology, all of them are created, right? So if I pick something up, this is an action which is created by God, since he created me, etc.
That's
But and that you may say, oh, this doesn't have free will, right? He's creating all my actions, right? So it's just a product of him, not of me and of myself, right? Would that be
I
your
mean,
claim, or what would it be?
I guess. But the thing is, then you're getting away from the uncaused cause argument, then, because then you're tacking on more things that God is responsible for.
Yeah, like secondary causes. Like I don't mind this.
Yeah. Well, okay, but then that's not part of the original argument. That's just an extension, or you're saying that that's a result
Yeah, it
of
is
it, I
an
guess.
extension. Yeah,
Well, yeah,
yeah, it's an
fine.
extension.
But that's the thing. Is the problem is I don't admit like I don't. Well, let's see. A little bit of what you're saying kind of does go along with the deterministic point of view. Like, because if I'm a determinist, which I'm not sure if I am or not, but if I'm a determinist, and if I admit that a God might have started the universe, then in some way I could say God is responsible for my actions, or having my actions
Yeah.
being what they are. I mean, yeah, I guess. Yeah.
But I can just like there's modalistic logic to it. So one claim of Christian theology is that God creates all possibilities. Like all of them are created, but we have the option to choose like one or another, right? So that gives some choice. Since choice would just be defined as A or B, right? Or A, B, C, or like multiple choices. Would you get that?
Sure.
Yeah, so that would be kind of what it is.
I guess. But the thing is, well,
Also,
but
also secondary causation also like it negates evil, right? Since or God is not the direct cause of evil, but secondary causes like human free will, it can't be put back onto him in that sense.
well, but then if there's human free will, then that does not mean that God is responsible for my actions. I mean,
We'll
I feel
say
like you got to have one or the other. Because if we're going to go with, I mean, if you're saying that the universe is not deterministic and that free will can change the course of events, material in the universe, then that means that what we do is detached from what God's initial creation was, because we can decide for ourselves. And then I would certainly say that evil people can do evil. Well, yeah, but you're saying that's not because of God, right? I feel like you got to have one or the other, because then, like, if God is responsible for secondary causation, then either He is responsible for the things that I have done because He created me this way, or
no, he's not responsible for secondary causation. He allows secondary causes. Like he
allows.
would be responsible for that. He would technically, right, by technicality, maybe because the primary cause like starts the secondary cause. It's like a chain of events, kind of.
Yeah, I know, but then He allow. So you're saying that God
It's
exists.
like the means that God bring. Yeah,
So you're saying God
the
exists
means to the
now,
God.
and that
Yeah,
God does decide whether or not some things happen.
yeah,
Well, then that means that God allows evil to continue.
yeah. Of course, he
Well,
does allow evil to
okay.
cause.
Well, then.
Yeah, I just concede to that. That's
Oh,
by the
okay, well,
way.
that's fine. Oh, but then, okay, so you don't have the all loving God thing then.
Yeah, yeah.
So what is God to you then?
Like when we say God is like all loving, right? Like I think in Christian theology, a lot of Christians they misinterpret this as God loves everything. Where when I look in the Old Testament specifically, it says that God hates evil, He hates the tyrant, He hates this. He lists out so many things that He hates. But within the New Testament, it's like, oh, God is all loving. But I would say that's a misunderstanding. Since when we're talking about all refers to everything, right? So totality, right? So that means God loves stuff like evil. Does He love people that unalive other individuals? I don't think so. That doesn't make sense to me. Which is why, yeah, like a lot of this would be heresy or whatever. But
So then
it is what it is.
you would say that God is all knowing and all powerful, I guess, but not necessarily all
Yeah, yeah,
loving.
all knowing, all powerful. He has the highest capacity of love. Like he has them all
Uh,
positive like attributes.
oh, so what is okay? Wait, the highest capacity for love. But okay, so what do you
Yeah.
mean by that?
Like it can increase and decrease. Like yeah, like God can. Like I also believe that God can change actually.
Okay.
Like God is not immutable.
Well, see now in the end, I'm glad I brought you up because this is
Really?
new. This is new and novel for me. I don't really run into theists who say this.
Yeah,
But
that's something called neoclassical theism.
oh, is it?
It's like completely something. It's completely different. Like
Okay.
God changes relationally as to us. Yeah. Anyways, like I'm probably gonna leave now.
Okay.
Like I thought you were busy, right?
Okay.
I'm gonna follow you though. You see
Sure.
me?
Great. Thank you. Thanks for that. Thanks for being an actual just person talking. I was concerned, as you know, but it was a good
Have a great
chat.
day.
So I appreciate it.
Have a great day.
Right then,
Adios.
you too. And get the hell out of my life. Turn point anger.
Outro!